is going on? Happy Tuesday, everyone. Not a oh boy, my thing didn't even start. Hold on one second. Hold on. As you can kind of see, I'm having all sorts of fun technical difficulties here tonight. All right, let's get to this here. Boy, we're starting out hot. Technical difficulty after technical difficulty. That was user error, but for whatever reason, my stream was not going there. I kept hitting publish. It wasn't going. I had to end up restarting everything. So I'm a couple of minutes late. I apologize there. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Jordan late. I'm guessing he's too upset on dropping takes. That's it, man. I was fuming, pounding my desk against or my fist against the desk. Can't believe it. No, just technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Ron says it's a cold one here in Appleton tonight. Yeah, it's brutal. I'm thankful I work remotely, so I don't have to leave my house. But I'm pretty spoiled. I have a little space heater in my office, so I can keep that going and stay nice and warm. But it is very cold, and it's only gonna get. Looks like it's only gonna get colder. I think Friday has a high of -7, if I think I saw that right. So it's only gonna get worse. So 'tis the season, right? Feels like every year we usually get a little bit of an Arctic stretch where it's just absolutely miserable. I don't think we're done with it, unfortunately. Joshua, good to see you, man. Happy Tuesday. Ray, good to see you, guy. How's hope all is going well in your world. Yeah, that's awesome. Good to see you. Well, we had some football. Unfortunately, not Packers football this past weekend, but nonetheless, we had some decent football. I got to be honest with you. I think I was happy with the outcome of one game, which is unfortunate. I feel like every year in the playoffs, every team I want to win loses every game. It's like, oh, I want this team to win. They lose. With the 49ers and Seahawks, I didn't really care which way it went, but I don't know. It was not a great weekend. It's not shaping up to be a fun Super Bowl once again. If you want to look at the bright side, at least the Chiefs aren't in it. Kirby, good to see you, man. We got Chad. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you guys are staying warm down there in Iowa as well, Chad. It's just brutal out here in the Midwest. Before I get too far in the weeds, let's get that giveaway link in case you guys want to sign up. If it's your first time watching, you don't have to be here the entire time to win, but you do need to be here when I draw the winner later on. And please only enter one time. I'm going to be posting this multiple times throughout the show. Just enter one time for me, please. Joshua, I see your question there. I'm going to save it for some burning hot questions. Ray says Niners, like Pack and Lions, way too many huge injuries. Yeah, Niners have been bitten by the injury bug. What, the last 3 to 4 years? It feels like every single year they just get hit with injuries. Just brutal. Same with the Lions. I mean, the Lions the last couple of years have really been snake bitten. Packers, I feel like, always are. It's I don't know. I feel for the 49ers to a degree. If they didn't bounce us so many times from the postseason, I feel like I'd maybe feel a little bit worse for them. Alfonso, good to see you, my friend. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. So obviously some news since we last talked. I know Jordan's excited about this one if he's still watching, but Matt LaFleur got his extension. I could have seen it. We talked last week. I could have seen it going either way. I could have seen them extending him. I could have seen them cutting ties with him. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't think there's a wrong answer either way. I'm okay with him getting extended. I think, my argument with it last week is I don't know that there's a guy that you're replacing him with that doesn't have flaws as well. All of the coaches that are available out there, as far as from the head coaching candidates that we're looking for jobs, all of them have their flaws and a reason they're looking for jobs. So I don't think there's a Band-Aid fix. I also think all of the players speak so highly of Matt. And I think not to rewind kind of what we talked about last week, but I know a lot of people lump Matt in with like his 2020 and 2021 teams, but it's almost like two different acts. That was like the Aaron Rodgers era, and this is the Jordan Love era. And Jordan coming in, Packers have had the youngest roster 3 years in a row, which isn't an excuse by any means. They need to start performing, but the Packers weren't expected to do much Jordan's first year. And I would argue that in that hot division of the Packers, Lions, and Vikings, all playing incredible football all year long, that the Packers getting a 7th seed there isn't really a knock at them when you have the Vikings and Lions doing what they were doing last year. So hopefully you can grow, you can get better. The roster hopefully can get stronger. We have some gaps to fill. But there were obviously frustrating points with Matt this year, no doubt about that. But I think it's the right decision to keep him around, at least for this, for the time being. So, hey, Bill, good to see you, man. Hope all is going well, sir. Joshua, I see your other question. I like answering the questions in the Burning Hot question segment, so appreciate you doing those. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Matt. I wouldn't be opposed to him kind of shaking things up a little bit, though, for being honest. I don't know if they're going to move on from Rich following the football season. I hope they do. I mean, if you look at the losses we sustained this year, a lot of them came from special teams errors or blunders, mistakes. And I know that's not all on head coaches, right? Coaches go out there and they can coach till they're blue in their face and the guys aren't going to execute. But unfortunately, that the mistakes feed up to the leader, right? The leader is in charge of the unit. If the unit fails, the leader's kind of responsible with that. So I don't know. It's a tough decision. I just hope that they kind of shake things up. I get frustrated when Rich is the highest paid special teams coach in the NFL, and we consistently have a poor special teams unit. But the other kind of breaking news since we talked last week is Jeff Hafley has become the head coach for the Miami Dolphins. Congratulations to Jeff. What a story for him to go from being a head coach 2 years ago to now head coach in college football 2 years ago to now being a head coach in the NFL. Really can't say enough good things about Jeff. Super happy for him. Appreciate all he's done in his tenure here. But now it kind of opens up the conversation of what do we do at defensive coordinator going forward? You want to make sure you're not trying to take too big of a step backwards, right? You hopefully can kind of keep growing off of what was started. But I think Packer fans are so used to very poor defense that Hafley felt like a godsend in a lot of ways. But, there's a lot of and this is not by any means just on the coach's shoulders, but there's a lot of games this year where we just could not get a stop when we needed it, or we could not close out when we needed it. Obviously, the playoff game, allowing 25 points in the fourth quarter. I think we talked about last week how this team feels like it lacks closers in the game, so it's not by all means on the defensive coordinator's shoulders, but it's just frustrating when you feel like you just need that one stop. You need that one stop, and we just cannot get it. We could not get it this year, and that's how it goes some years. And that's how it was this year. So I'm hoping next year. What I would really like out of my defensive coordinator next year, I would love a defensive coordinator that coaches on the sideline. Robert Saleh does that a lot. He can go in, rally the troops, get behind them, light that fire under them. I think that would be a crucial thing to have on the sideline. Matt already feels like he has a lot on his plate, right? He's managing the game, he's calling plays. I think if you can have that defensive coordinator on the sideline to kind of help alleviate that need to kind of put some fire in some guys, I think that'd be a big win for me. I've seen a few names come across as far as candidates for potentially replacing Jeff. Because we are a Wisconsin-based team and we have a lot of Wisconsin-based fans, two come up a lot when you're hearing it. Jim Leonard and Al Harris. Al Harris is a defensive backs coach for the Bears right now, and Jim Leonard is kind of looking for that next opportunity. I think he was in Dallas most recently. I could be mistaken on that, but I know a lot of people bring those two up a lot because they're both have ties to Wisconsin, and if Packer fans love anything, it's taking guys or coaches that have ties to Wisconsin. That's a Packers fan. That's like Packers fan to a T. It's the same reason you still hear about TJ Watt almost a decade later. But I don't. If I'm going with my gut, I don't think either of those come to Green Bay. Leonard, the Packers pursued him in 21 before they hired Joe Barry, and Leonard turned down the opportunity to stay with the Badgers. I think he's more of a 3-4 guy as well. The Packers are more in a 4-3 system right now. So I don't see the Packers going back to that. I think they say, hey, that was the opportunity. You turned us down. It wasn't the fit. So we're going to kind of look elsewhere. Al Harris, I mean, the Packers right now are interviewing a lot of defensive back coaches. So maybe Al Harris falls into that category. Depends if the Packers feel he's ready for that defensive coordinator role. What I like about the idea of Al Harris is the fact that he is a former player. He was a very successful player, and I think I think if you're a former player, you can kind of speak on things a little bit more than if you just study the game, if you will. Another one that wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, it's the one that I think if he doesn't get a head coaching job is maybe where the Packers go is Raheem Morris. He worked with Matt while he was in Atlanta, two-time Super Bowl champion, won a Super Bowl as part of the Bucs staff in the early 2000s, and then as the defensive coordinator for the Rams when they won theirs, just a couple of years ago, 2021, I believe. So that would not surprise me. They have just talked with the Eagles defensive back coach, which he has some ties to Matt as well. So that wouldn't surprise me either. If it's my ultimate wish list, though, if I could get like any pick of the litter, I would want Brian Flores. He is currently, or last year he was currently with the Vikings, but his contract is up with them. So he is kind of a free agent defensive coordinator, if you will. He is pursuing head coaching opportunities. So I don't know. One, he might get a head coaching opportunity. So he might not be on the table at all. And two, if he does not land a head coaching opportunity, he very well might go back to the Vikings. The Vikings obviously know what they have in him. They like him. They're probably going to want to re-sign him. So if we were to re-sign or if we were to sign him, I'm going to guess that's a very short-term defensive candidate that would hire. Maybe a season, maybe two, but I can't imagine more than a season. So we'll see how it shakes out. But very happy for Jeff. I mean, that's a well-deserved move up on his end, and I'm curious to see how he's going to do down in Miami. I think in today's NFL, it seems much harder to win with a defensive coach than an offensive coach. But maybe that's I don't know. Maybe that's just me, Maybe that's just my my small sample size. Hey, Steven, good to see you again, man. This will be my new Tuesday night routine. Love your stuff. Appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. It's always good to see reoccurring people, and these are a lot more enjoyable with people hanging out and interacting. So I appreciate you being here. Ray says, I have confidence in the intelligence of their choice does not necessarily mean it will be right. That's the thing. I think it's much like draft picks, right? I don't know that anyone really knows. If people truly knew, there would be no such thing as bad coaching hires. There'd be no such thing as bad draft selections. I think it's all you're trying to make the best decision with the data you have, and it doesn't always pan out that way. But Yeah, appreciate you swinging in, Ray. Good to talk to you. Steve. Steve says, "What is Mike Zimmer doing nowadays?" Chris also says Zimmer. I think Zimmer feels like one of those guys that maybe the game's kind of moved beyond him. You see that in head coaching from time to time or defensive coordinating. I always loved it was a love hate playing Zimmer. Zimmer was a great coach when he was with Minnesota for as long as he was, and I think I don't know if the game's still with him as much or if he's kind of moved on to that point in his coaching career where he's, maybe more kind of wanting to get into that role where he's just kind of, I don't know, providing like that oversight. I'm trying to think what the word is, and it's escaping me right now, but where he's just kind of providing more kind of high level guidance of what's going on rather than actually being a coordinator. Dom Capers kind of took that role towards the tail end of his career, where you're just kind of going in, giving that high level oversight, and you're not really implementing the game plans. You're not putting in the long hours. You're just kind of helping. Bill says, if Aaron Jones gets released from the Vikings, do you think the Packers would want him back? I believe his contract is done with the Vikings, so he'll be a free agent. And it's not in the Packers blueprint to kind of take that aging guy. Aaron's had a lot of issues staying on the field the last handful of seasons. So I just I don't know. I don't see that happening. If I were just kind of going with my gut. Hey, Christy, good to see you. You didn't miss a ton. Just hanging out, chatting, talking coaching changes, Matt's extension, all that stuff. Hanging out with his model wife. Does Zim have a model wife? Is that what we're talking about? Oh, Derek coming in with a good one here. I'm actually going to save this for the burning hot questions. I think that's a good one, Derek. Appreciate it. Hey, Ron, appreciate it. Consulting is the word I am looking for. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I don't know if that happens to you guys often, but I feel like it happens to me where a word is just right there and I can't think of it. So consulting is definitely the word I was thinking about. Appreciate it. MJ says, so we lost Halfley and Sullivan, but still have Rich. Still early, right? MJ says, how you doing, Ben? Freezing in Jamestown. Go Pack. Yeah, it's freezing here too. I think we're talking about it a little earlier, but I think Friday the high is -7 here, so it's a brisk one. It is a chilly one. Well, let's talk some divisional round of football. The Bills unfortunately fell to the Broncos, and I really wanted on the AFC side of the ball, I wanted the Bills and Texans to advance. Instead, I got the Broncos and the Patriots. Even worse, after the Broncos won, it comes out that Bo Nix broke his ankle and he's done for the year, which is even more frustrating because the last team I want to see go is the Patriots. You know what? Good for those Patriots fans. They've really stuck through the hard times after Brady left to find success again, right? I mean, maybe it's a little ironic that I'm giving them a hard time as a Packers fan who's had, his entire life of just watching competitive football. So who am I to talk? But man, they really flipped that roster back around, invested heavily into a defense, and that's paying off. Young quarterback who's looking the part for them. So good on them. They're really doing well. The Bills moved on from their head coach following their playoff loss. Doesn't really surprise me. It feels like he's been on the hot seat for a minute, or his seat's been warming up for a minute. I know a lot of people said, "Well, look at the Bills. They at least moved on from theirs, where the Packers kept theirs around." I think the difference is his seat had been getting warm for a while, where Matt is just now starting to get warm. So I think if you see that trend continue with Matt, the Packers will move on from him, no doubt. But the Bills have had so many opportunities to kind of get over that hump. They've had so many like heartbreaks over the years in the postseason. and opportunities where they should have been able to punch their ticket and it slips through their hands. So I don't know. We I felt terrible though for Josh. I love Josh. I was really hoping that they were going to get that win. I was really hoping that they were going to go to a Super Bowl, and now with the Packers out, I was really hoping that they're going to win. So I'm curious for you guys. We have 4 teams left. We have the Patriots, Broncos, and then the Rams and Seahawks. Who do you guys want to see in the Super Bowl, and who do you want to see win the Super Bowl? Personally, give me the Rams and give me the Rams and Broncos. And then I hope the Rams win because I want Devontae to get a ring. But I'm curious, who do you guys want as far as the Super Bowl matchup and what you're gonna see as the winner? MJ said, I left Sunday to come out, drove through the blizzard, -34 windshield Monday. Whew. Yeah, that's brutal. It's extra cold in my basement tonight. So I'm glad I got my cup of coffee here. Stu says, that sucks, but my Bronco fan brother still has faith. And keep in mind, there's still the entire starting defense that didn't get injured. Go Broncos. Yeah, I mean, we watched a young backup quarterback. Maybe he wasn't young, but Nick Foles beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Anything can happen, especially when you have a good defense. So I just hope. The Patriots have a very good defense as well. So I just hope that the Broncos can somehow get it done. But ultimately, I hope that the Rams do it, win it all. I hope the Rams can get Devontae a ring. Christy says, I wish they could have somehow disqualified them from getting to play the AFC Championship. Came put the Bills in it. Great week. Yeah, I'm with you. We got a lot of Bears stuff going on here. I haven't started talking about Bears yet, but it's going to be coming. Swag Coda. Jordan says top notch on the quick post game Bears joining the couch. Yeah, I had that one dialed up. I was ready. Boy, I had a lot of Bears fans very mad at me about that one. Some threatened me in a very nice way, and I got to be honest with you. I don't even think that was that bad of a I wasn't. Yeah, it's more self-deprecating humor at that point. I'm saying we're already all on the couch. All of us are eliminated. Just come join us, Bears. I wasn't trash talking. I wasn't gloating. I was just saying, hey, come join the losers. But boy, pissed off a lot of Bears fans with that one. Made a lot of Bears fans. MJ said, I'm calling it Seattle versus New England. I'm curious, who's going to win between those two? That's going to be a defensive slugfest for sure. A lot of people are agreeing with me. Devontae getting a ring. Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl, and the Broncos get payback for Super Bowl 48. Not the score, just winning. So, Bill, this is a good question. Actually, I'm going to save this for burning hot questions because that's a good question. I want to talk about it. We're going to be getting into burning hot questions here soon. I'm going to talk about the Bears. Dakota's got a good question here. I'm getting a cold, so I apologize if you do hear me coughing every once in a while, by the way. Well, let's talk about the main game that we all cared about. The Bears versus Rams. I got to be honest. I know we're talking, we're chatting in the boys chat following the Packers-Bears game last week. And we were saying that we all kind of felt like the Bears were the team of destiny this year. They have the Pope on their side, so they were having miracle after miracle happen this year. A ton of fourth quarter, just crazy comebacks, crazy plays. It felt like the ball bounced their way every single time. And it feels like every year you kind of see that. Like one franchise will kind of have that happen. The Packers had that happen in 21? The Vikings, I think, had it happen last year where they were just winning games and you're just like, how do they keep winning these games?
where they shouldn't win these games. And the Bears felt like that team this year. So when Caleb threw that touchdown just before overtime, I'm just like, here they go again. They're gonna win this one. They're gonna go to the NFC Championship. Something's gonna happen. Somehow they're gonna beat the Seahawks, and it's just gonna keep going. So I was very happy when Caleb threw that interception in overtime. I love that the rivalry's back. The whole Ben Johnson thing after they beat the Packers, the whole dynamic there is a bit weird for me. I think, as Packer fans, will often give them grief about beating the Packers is your Super Bowl. And I think until they stop doing like the whole charade after they beat the Packers, I don't think they're ever going to beat that accusation. Much like until the Packers stop choking in playoff games, they'll never beat the accusation of being chokers. But it is bizarre to me. And maybe, we've been fortunate. So it is what it is. I understand, the fans being like, F the Packers, that's one thing. I get that. But the entire NFC North, everything they post, like go on Reddit, all of the stuff they post is FTP, FTP, FTP. And it is partially because, not partially, it's because we've had so much success. But you'll never escape those accusations of it being your Super Bowl if after you beat the Packers, you bring out cheese shredders, you're wearing cheese graters, you're in the locker room and your coach is yelling F the Packers. I just don't think you'll overcome those obligations. I think it's great, or those obligations, those accusations. I don't think you overcome those accusations. I think it's great for the rivalry. I love a Packers-Bears rivalry. I still hate the Vikings more than the Bears, but that's just from my upbringing. But it feels like that's the one they circle on the calendar, and that's the one that means the most. Every time they get a coach hired, they talk about how they want to beat the Packers. Ben was no different. And I don't know. Maybe one day they'll get to that point where they can just be like, hey, our focus is bigger and greater than that. But, and what do I know? Maybe if they would have beat the Rams, they would have had, I don't know, they would have had like Ram hides that they would wear, and they'd be chanting F the Rams or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't give them an opportunity to do it. So, good on the Bear fan, whoever invented the cheese graters, though, because that's a nice opportunist there to see that. But all in all, I was very happy to see the Rams eke that win out. I know that stadium was bumping, but really good turnaround by the Bears in a single season. You went from 5 wins last year to winning the NFC North. So, well, let's get into these burning hot questions. There's a lot coming in here. So let's get into these burning hot questions. Before we do anything, thanks to my friends over at Legendaries for being proud sponsors of the show. Super Bowl is coming up. If you're in the area, go check them out. They have a 50-piece wing you could get for your Super Bowl party. Elevate your Super Bowl party. Get some legendary wings. If you're not in the area, but you're still like, hey, I want to do wings, you can get their sauces online, shipped to your house. I think it's like $5 shipping. Really cheap to ship. Get some bottles of legendary sauces. Make some wings at home. Have some legendary sauces and make it a party. Thanks to them for being proud sponsors of the show. All right, there are a lot of questions. If you guys have more questions, feel free to start dropping them. Love to hear what you guys have. It doesn't have to be football either. It could be anything under the sun. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Joshua says, how many coaches go with Jeff to Miami? It's a good question. I'm curious on if he's going to try to take his guys with him that maybe he brought to Green Bay. I don't know if it's entirely matches Matt's coaching, but it wouldn't surprise me if he sees some of them go. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either. I think getting some fresh blood in there, and if a new defensive coordinator comes in, he might have his guys that he wants to assemble as part of his thing. So I'm more curious if we're going to see some other maybe free agents head to Miami. Like Derek here says, what are the odds Malik, Dobbs, and Gary end up in Miami? I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see, I don't know that you see, I don't know what's going to happen with Gary. I have a feeling he's going to either be cut, but he very well could be traded for a very, very, very late pick. I don't know that a team would want to take on that cap, but who knows? Maybe they say, hey, we'll do it for a 7th round pick or something like that. And or maybe you swap 7th rounds or something. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think a team will want to take on his cap or his contract. So maybe that's not the case, but I think Gary's obviously going to be released. I know Jets have been rumored to be pursuing Malik as well, which if I'm Malik, I don't know that I want to go to New York. I feel like that's the QB graveyard. Chad's got a good one here. Chad says, what is a catch? What is an interception? And I got to be honest with you, Chad, I have zero idea anymore. After that Packers-Bears game, the wild card weekend, there were 2 plays where I thought both were catches, and they ruled both of them incomplete. We saw the interception by Evan that they deemed not an interception, but actually incomplete, despite the ball never touching the ground. And then against the Bills last weekend, it was the same scenario that they deemed an interception. So I have zero idea at this point. It feels like the reffing's kind of getting more I don't know. It really opens up the door to like conspiracies behind the whole gambling thing, right? That whenever those weird ticky-tacky things like that happen where it's so inconsistent. I did see with the refs agreement or contract with that expiring, sounds like they're going to try to bargain for them to be more full-time refs, because I don't know if you guys know this or not, the refs are not full-time referees. A lot of them have day jobs and that's their like weekend gig. So I think if you could make, which first off, that's pretty absurd that a billion-dollar company like the NFL that has so much at stake that the referees can dictate the game so much and their referees are not full-time employees absolutely blows my mind. That feels like such an oversight, such a dumb decision that it absolutely is bonkers to me. These guys should be in there every single day, doing the work to hone the craft, to have consistency in what they do. And it's clear that that's not happening. So hopefully this next contract, they can get it taken care of. Bill says, why did you pick up Diggs and not use him? So they used him, against Minnesota, and used him briefly against the Bears. He very well could come back next season. Now, when the Packers picked him up, when you pick him up off of waivers, you're also picking up his contract. And the Cowboys signed him to a hefty contract. He didn't have any more guaranteed money left, so it was a very low risk signing on the waivers. The Packers had to release him because I think he was going to have an $18 million cap hit. They didn't have to release him right now, but they may have released him so if he has the opportunity to, maybe one of the final 4 teams will sign him and get an opportunity to go win a ring. Maybe that was a conversation he had with them and asked, hey, could you release me if you don't plan on keeping me around next year? The Packers could still bring him back. Kirby asked this question here. Do you think Green Bay re-signs Diggs after his release? I think it just depends on what the contract offers he sees are. He very well may see value in playing in Green Bay with Micah healthy and may say, I'll sign a 1-year prove-it deal at a cheap amount if I'm going to play with Parsons again, knowing that I could potentially rack up some interceptions and get a better contract after the fact, like what he did in Dallas not long ago. So I don't know. It's weird that they released him at this point in the season because he now can go play for another team, but also at the same time, maybe that was his request. Dakota says, what's the one Packers tradition that actually hurts them in modern NFL, but fans aren't ready to admit it yet? I'm confused I love the idea of this question, but I want to make sure I'm understanding it fully. The one Packers tradition that actually hurts them in the modern NFL. Do you mean from like hurts them how, I guess? Like from a I mean, I don't know, like trying to think of tradition that hurts them in the modern NFL. I mean, I think it's not a Packers tradition, but I think the Packers being in Green Bay hurts them a lot from as far as um, being able to scout or bring talent in. I think a lot of people don't want to come to Green Bay. A lot of people want more to do outside of football. I think the one tradition from the fans' perspective is how it's not really a tradition, but how some season ticket holders or a lot of season ticket holders go to games and sit down the entire game and expect to just be able to watch football, which is fine. But I feel like you need to be there making crowd noise. You need to be loud. You need to be on your feet. And I think that hurts the Packers a lot. But I'm curious what you mean exactly like by hurts them and like in what manner. It's a good question though. Jordan says, burning hot question. Is there any truth to Packers getting Leonard? I talked about this. You might have missed it, Jordan, but I don't think that the Packers go that route. I think they tried hiring him in 21. He declined, stuck with the Badgers. I believe he runs a 3-4. The Packers are set up more as a 4-3 right now. So I don't know that they overhaul everything and go back to the well on that one. All right, let's see. Yeah, Ron says ask Vegas to define it. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. MJ says, as an owner versus non-owner, what is the pros and cons? I don't think it's a hinder. I think it gives a better fan base, maybe not a deeper pocket. Is that the tradition we're talking about? Like how the Packers have an ownership structure as opposed to the I guess the Packers have no defined owner. They just have fans that support them. I actually think that has more pros than cons. I think it's one of those things that you see owners kind of overstep so often in the NFL, whether it's forcing a quarterback to start earlier than they should. Jerry Jones is the owner, president, and GM of the Cowboys. So I mean, he's done a pretty solid job of drafting, but there's no accountability if he doesn't do well. It's not like he can fire himself or he's not going to fire himself. So I think there are a lot of operations where the owner really inserts himself way too much into things. And we saw it with Jerry Jones. We talked about this with the whole Micah thing. Jerry put his pride in the way on the contract extension with Micah. And I think it starts feeling more personal when the check you are writing is your money. The Packers don't have that, right? The Packers don't have if Goot offers an extension, it's not coming out of his bank account. And I think there's a big perk in that where negotiations aren't personal at that point. It's money for a service. But there are negatives for sure. I mean, I would think that the positives outweigh the negatives though. Any other questions coming in? I might have missed some here. A lot of good questions though tonight. I see some stuff here. MJ said the look McVay was priceless when Caleb threw that tying touchdown. That should be framed. I know McVay talked about how that he didn't take kindly, or it sounded like that McVay didn't take kindly to the whole F the Packers thing from Ben Johnson after the game. Matt's brother Mike is a coach for the Rams. So I think there's a lot of they really wanted to win that one. But yeah, I think we were all shocked. We were all shocked when Caleb made that throw. That's for sure. That is for sure. All right, I see a couple questions here. Dakota said, "Man, sorry, getting a cold here." Dakota said, "Is Lambeau Field still a real home field advantage or just a myth we repeat because it feels good?" I don't think Lambeau Field really has that home field advantage that it once did. I think here's kind of my thought on it. In the 90s, Lambeau Field was a home field advantage. Lambeau Field was loud. Lambeau Field, it was hard to get a ticket to the games. The Packers were having a resurgence in the 90s, right? After 2 decades of bad football, fans were excited, they were loud, they were there to be part of the game to help the team win. Fast forward 30 years and you've watched winning football and fans lose that spark or that need to be involved. Now, fans have obviously gotten older as well. So they're like, I'm here, I'm sitting down, I'm watching football, and that's that. The Packers having the season ticket wait list that they do and the ability to pass down season tickets is a great thing, but it also leads to a fan base that the demographics are getting older. And because of that, they're just not as into the game anymore. No, and I've been to games where it is rowdy the entire game. We stand the entire game. It's loud the entire game. But I've also been to games where it's a fourth down. The opposing team is driving, trying to stay in the game, and it is a massive play in the fourth quarter. And I'm standing up, I'm yelling, I'm making noise, and the person behind me is trying to pull me down, and they're yelling, "Sit down and give it a rest already." That is appalling to me. At any sports, sports venture, sports, you know, any sporting event, that is a behavior. And I am sympathetic that if you are unable to stand the entire game, I get it. It sucks if you're at a game where you're standing the entire time and you have knees that can't do it anymore. But I think it's also one of those things that unfortunately you kind of sign up for potentially happening if you go to a game. I'm more of the belief that if the Packers are on defense, stand up, be loud. If the Packers are on offense, sit down, enjoy the game, be loud when they make a big play, bring it back down when they're going back again on offense. So it is a tough balance. But I think the 30 years of success has really made it hard to keep that home field advantage. And then on top of that, Lambeau Field is a bucket list destination for so many people now at this point that there's demands for the tickets. So season ticket holders sell it to where the money is. And oftentimes that goes to away fans. And that hinders the home field advantage as well. So it's a tough thing. It is a really tough thing. Um excuse me. Derek said season ticket holders have ruined a lot of it, more money hungry than wanting to watch the Packers. That is a big problem. I'm happy to hear that the Packers are trying to crack down on it a little bit. But anytime you have that demand, they're always going to have that. But it is a shame when, I've been on the season ticket waiting list since January of 2010. Well, I got my letter in January of 2010. So I signed up in like November of 2009. And I still have 60,000 people ahead of me. And I think I've moved 13,000 seats in 15 years or something like that. So it's a shame that there are people that they solely keep their season tickets to make money when you have a lot of fans that are just like, I want to be at Lambeau Field, making, getting loud, making crowd noise and really trying to bring home a win. Bill says you can really tell the difference from Green Bay crowd from Milwaukee crowd. Yeah, that's another thing. I've had a lot of issues with the gold package. They're extra brutal when it comes to that. I don't know. I've had gold package issues, green package issues, but it's definitely bad. Kyle says I'm 47,400 in line for my season tickets, doing it for my kids or grandkids at this point. Kyle, I hate to break it to you because my son's right about where you're at. I've calculated based off my averages. I actually made a video about it. I think it's like 190 years for the average weight. So your like great grandkids might get them. Good thing you can pass down your spot in line. Janelle says that's me. As long as it's not the whole game, I'm fine. Yeah, I think there's that balance, right? It's tough. It's tough, and once again, I'm sympathetic for the older people. As you get older, it's so hard to stand for those 3.5 hours, 4 hours, especially on the hard cement. Or it's hard to go up, down, up, down, up, down. So I get it. It's like you know, it's it's a tough thing, but I think it's tough when you're going to a sporting event, you kind of expect that in a way though. So it's a tough balance. Dakota says, at what point does being I got to post the giveaway link again here. Sorry about that. I'm slacking. Here's the giveaway link. We're going to draw the giveaway winner here soon. If you've already entered, don't enter a second time. If you haven't entered, feel free to do so. We're going to be drawing it here probably in a couple minutes. I've been slacking on that this episode. I've been kind of doing some other stuff. Dakota says, at what point does being competitive every year become a cover for not being ruthless enough when it comes to time to win a Super Bowl? I think that's a good question. I think, how can I say this I think oftentimes, I think fans very, very much undersell what it takes to make a Super Bowl, to get to a Super Bowl, to get to that mountaintop. I think fans simplify it so much because we see the dynasties every decade, right? There's one team that seems to like figure it out every year. It can like make a generational run. We saw the Patriots do it. We've seen in the in the 90s, the Cowboys did it, the 49ers of the 80s, the Steelers of the 70s, the Packers of the 60s, the Chiefs of the early 2000 or 2020s. So we see these teams do this. And I think a lot of Packer fans think, well, it's so easy. You just do it. Like it's like the Packers are just complacent. It's just easy. And I don't think that's the case. I think if it were truly that easy to make a Super Bowl, to win a Super Bowl, I would think the Vikings would have won one by now. I would think the Lions would have made one by now. I would think the Bears would have won one since 1985. There are a lot of teams that have really tried hard to get a Super Bowl, and you can't get there. You can't make it. Football is a tough thing because you can have the pieces of the puzzle. Things can be humming along, and then one game just does not go your way and you're out. That's unfortunate. That's how it goes. The best team does not always win the postseason, but that's what makes football exciting. And I think being competitive gives you a better chance at being in a Super Bowl. But I would rather be competitive every single year, going into the playoffs and saying, hey, it's going to be a tough road, but at least we have a chip in a chair, rather than pushing all of the chips in, having a 1 to 2 year window, and now you are just trying to claw your way back into a postseason because you've went all in and it backfired. I don't know. And maybe that's just me being kind of naive on the thoughts, but I think that's just I think it's just, as fans, we just, I don't know if we're just playing too much Madden and we're just like, it's just that easy. It's just that easy. Tony said, got my jersey today. Thanks. Hey, glad I made it there. Glad you made it there. Ron said he's not seeing the link. Ron, I can get you manually added too. No big deal there. No big deal there. Steven said, shoot, it's hard enough for me to win my fantasy football league and only 14 teams. I think that's a good argument though, right, Steven? Like, you're trying to do that on a much smaller scale, much smaller risk, much smaller everything. And it's hard to win that. So I think that is such a good analogy and such a good argument. So, the Super Bowl is a really hard thing to win, and some teams can put it together and do it really well for sure. Like, to create that dynasty, but you have to have the ball bounce your way in those certain games. I mean, look at the Chiefs. Obviously, made a handful of Super Bowls. They lose a handful, or lose a few, win a few. the ones they've won against the 49ers, it felt like the 49ers were winning that one the entire time. And then Mahomes just had his magic and it worked out in their favor. And I don't know. It's tough. So Steven, I like that analogy. All right, let's do this giveaway. So here's the thing. I have not had a chance to load up on more prizes for giveaways. I am going to be going to Waukesha, I think, around the Super Bowl to load up on more prizes. So I have prizes, but they're Packers Pro Shop gift cards, which I think is, you know, we're all Packers fans, so that kind of works out, but it's not as much variety. There's a $10 one, $25 one, $40 one. It's going to cover us for the next 3 weeks. And then after Nathan, I'll get you added as well. Just remind me. I got to get Ron and Nathan added. Anyone else need to be added? But what I was going with this is we talked last week about trying to figure out, what now. Still kind of mulling around what I should do after the season's done. Last year I did like a podcast, but I like the live aspect. I like hanging out with you guys. I like the questions. So what I decided is I'm going to do a Madden thing each week where we're going to just hang out. I'm going to be playing Madden, answering your questions. We'll be talking football stuff that's going on, but at least it doesn't it's not so much like of an hour straight talking when there's not a ton of information happening during the off season. So I think that'll be a fun approach. We'll still do a giveaway every single week. No difference there. But it'll just be a different dynamic of us hanging out. One thing I want to do in that is I want to do a separate season as well, where we are just like maybe every week we'll sim a couple weeks or whatever, but where we are solely going to act as the GM because it is so hard to win a Super Bowl. I want to see if we can do it in Madden together, not playing the game, but just managing the roster, drafting. And I'm going to try to figure out a way where we can do that together as a community, maybe like a polling situation, trading guys, signing free agents, all that fun stuff. So hope you guys will be joining me for that one after the season's done. I'll start it like not the week after the Super Bowl, but the following Tuesday after that. So I'd like to keep every Tuesday going just so we can have that consistency there. If Madden's not your thing and you're like, hey, yeah, I'm not going to be hanging out with that, you're not hurting my feelings at all. I'll be next football season. I'll be doing this every Tuesday as well. But I just want to keep things going every single Tuesday so the consistency's there. So, all right, I got to get Nathan added and I got to get Ron added. Anyone else need to be added besides those two? Speak now, forever hold your peace here. Let me make sure there's no duplicates. Ron and Nathan. Steve. Oh my, Steve. All right, Ron and Nathan. I don't see any duplicates. Ben, I think I saw you and Christy come in like last. No, that was Christy and Andy. Ben, I do see you in there. All right. Ron, Nathan. All right, let's share my screen here. Yeah, I see you there though, Ben. You're good. All right, we got our screen there. As you can see on the bottom, we have Ron and Nathan. I got you guys added. We have 32 entries. We are, yep, Christy, I see you there. We're doing one giveaway tonight. Good luck to you guys. Here we go. We got Mr. A. I think that's Josh, because Josh and Liz are the Mr. and Mrs. A. So, Josh, if you are here, give me a number 1 through 3, and we're going to see what Packer Pro Shop gift card you won. And if not, you got like a minute. You got a minute or two. 1, 2, or 3, please, Josh. Kyle says, always love your show, buddy. Glad them Bears are finally done for the season. Go Pack, go. Kyle, appreciate you being here, man. Means a lot to me, and I am with you. I'm glad those Bears are done. Joshua, not Joshua. I mean, we have a Joshua here as well. Josh A. I'm going to start a timer. 1 minute, Josh. Josh A. All right, here we go. 60-second timer starting now. Do you guys think the Bears move to Indiana, or do you think they make it work with Arlington Heights? All right, there he is, number 2. All right, Josh, you're cutting it close, man. You were cutting it close. All right, I'll stop sharing this. We got Josh right here, number 2. Number 2. Heather, you were there, by the way. You were there. I could show you on my screen, but you were there. Trust me. Nelly says, new here. Go Pack Go. Nelly, appreciate you swinging in. We have a fun group of people that hang out here every Tuesday. So every Tuesday at 7:30. Hope to see you. Hope to see you around. It's good. The Gary Bears have a catch to it. They do. I mean, that's the Josh. I'm going to leave you hanging in for a second, but that's the thing that kind of cracks me up on Bears fans, like always giving the Packer fans grief about, being owners. Like, oh, you guys just pay for a piece of paper. At least I know where my team's going to be playing. I don't have to worry about an owner, like up and moving the team. So, all right, Josh, you got yourself $10 Packer Pro Shop gift card. You got the bottom of the barrel, Josh. Not a good pick. Still good. I'll get that shipped out to you. I think I still have your address from when Liz won something earlier this year, but shoot me a message if you want. Otherwise, I'll shoot you an email just to validate. All right. We are going to do Jordan says, here's my thoughts for next season wheel prizes. Plant one random prize for the other NFC North teams, aka like a gay gift in a way. Interesting. So like one of the prizes that I give away could be something that no one wants. Is that what you're saying? I like to reward people, Jordan. I don't want people to have like a bad time if they win. That's not fun. I should probably try to figure out a way to switch it up next week or next year, though. That's for sure. I think the giveaway wheel's fun, and I think it'd be fun to figure out a different way rather than doing like 1 through 35 to pick a prize. I think that'd be a fun way to do it. I just need to figure out a way. So we like to do a giveaway or a story of the week. And actually, I should say, I screwed up here. I should say thank you to my friends over at Nicolet Law for making the giveaway possible. I'm kind of putting the cart ahead of the horses. So thank you to my friends at Nicolet Law for making those giveaways possible. And all the giveaways I do are made possible because of Nicolet. Insurance companies have their own playbook, and it is not written in your favor. Nicolet Law helps level the playing field. They are based right here in the Midwest, and they've helped thousands of injured folks get back on their feet. They deal with an insurance company, so you don't have to fight to get you what's fair, and they don't get paid unless you win. If you are injured, get Nicolet. Visit nicoletlaw.com or call 1-855-NICOLET. All right, let's do the story of the week, and we are going to get out of here and have a good weekend. Hopefully, we see the Rams upset the Seahawks and the Broncos upset the Patriots. That's my hope. I don't know what you guys we talked a little about, but with how cold it is outside right now, it made me think of the Ice Bowl and sitting in the Ice Bowl, and I cannot fathom that. Oftentimes, when people think of bad weather games at Lambeau Field, they think about the Ice Bowl. However, there was another game with conditions so bad that most fans were unable to even attend the game. On December 1st, 1985, the Packers hosted their division rival, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers were obviously familiar with the kind of weather Green Bay could throw at them after the years of playing in the NFC Central, but this time was very different. Shortly before kickoff, Green Bay was hit by a massive blizzard. The snow was so severe that most fans could not even travel to the stadium. Fewer than 20,000 fans made it inside, leaving roughly 36,000 people snowed out. Those who were there found their way to those who were there found ways to entertain themselves during the down periods of the game, or the down points of the game, which included sledding down the stairs inside of Lambeau Field, and probably throwing snowballs and all the other crazy action that they were doing. Fans who braved the conditions witnessed Steve Young struggle in just his second start in the NFL. He was sacked 5 times, completed only 8 passes, and finished with just 53 yards. It probably didn't help that the Buccaneers decided to wear all white uniforms in the whiteout condition. On the other side of the ball, Lynn Dickey and company put up over 500 yards of offense, cruising to a 21-0 victory. The game later earned the nickname the Snow Bowl. Much like the Ice Bowl, this game has kind of taken on a legend of its own, with thousands of fans claiming that they were there despite the low attendance. I don't know about you guys, but if I had to choose, I am choosing Snow Bowl weather over Ice Bowl weather any day of the week. But I'm curious, what choice would you guys do? Are you guys going Ice Bowl, or are you guys going Snow Bowl? I love the pictures. Let's find some of the pictures here, so you guys can kind of see see how crazy the weather was there. All right, let's share this here. All right, here we go. Oh, is it not going to let me? Oh, no. All right. We're going to look at it this way. Why is it not let's see here. Yeah, you can see how empty the crowd is there on that one. Trying to see if there's a photo of the fans sledding down the just wild. Yeah, here's the photo of the fans sledding down the stairs at Lambeau Field during the game. What a game to be at. I think that'd be so much fun to be in a game that snowy. You know, it kind of like takes you back to the Packers Seahawks game of that playoff run in 2007. So that is just a crazy weather. I cannot imagine. Yeah, you guys are snow for sure. MJ says, I think spinning the wheel for a number, then pulling the number off the wheel when it's been picked. That's not a bad one either. All right. Cool. Ben says, I did think how cool it would be to be in the Packers Hall of Fame, had the Ice Bowl full experience, like you say, in a room, and actually feel like you were sitting in an Ice Bowl. Oh man. I mean, Ben, if you want to come here this week, you could probably experience it. It's gonna be cold this week. Feel free to come visit. I think Friday's supposed to be a high of -7, so not quite Ice Bowl, but I don't need to experience that. But anyway, that's all for me this week. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Go Rams, go Davante Adams, and we'll be talking to you same time, same place next week, right here, Tuesday, 7:30. Appreciate you guys all immensely. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the interaction. Thanks for hanging out. I say this a lot, but really, it wouldn't be the same without you guys here every week. So thank you guys so much. Hope to see you next week, and have a good rest of your week.